Hey there, beer tubers, and welcome back to Maxwell Starr's beer review. Tonight, we've got a special treat for you. This one is a beer that hails all the way from Canmore, Alberta, right in the Rocky Mountains, Canada's Rockies. This beer was brought to New Brunswick as part of the Picaroons Brewers Bash, and I bought this when they were selling off all the leftovers back in August. So yeah, I've been sitting on this for a few months now. It is the Grizzly Brewing Company's Beaver Raspberry Ale. So Beaver I wonder if that's got anything to do with the pastry company. They were selling the pastries outside the Beer Tuber Palooza up in April. We can get them here in the summertime. So I'm not sure if it's affiliated, the licensed product or what, but it is a raspberry fruit beer from Canmore, and I'm actually kind of excited to have something else other than Big Rock from Alberta, because, you know, those who know me know I was out in Alberta for a year, like 10 years ago, or 8 years ago, but I wasn't into beer at that point. And actually, being out there was the first experiences I had with drinking quality beer when I first started drinking Guinness, but I unfortunately didn't get to try a lot of the breweries that they had there, and even so, chances are, in the last 7-8 years, Grizzly has probably come out, and there's other ones like Alley Cat, and I can't remember anything else, but here's another one. I may have another one. So yeah, Grizzly Brewing Company, Canmore, Alberta. Beer brewed with raspberries. Why Beavertail? First brewed in May 1996. Okay, so maybe it was out there. Beavertail was a single batch summer offering that was grown to a staple. Light-bodied, unfiltered, Belgium-style fruit ale. With a subtle hint of sweetness, balanced by the tart flavor and aroma of fresh raspberries. So it's even got like a color. Paw is closer to the dark, and serving temperature is telling me to serve it at 4 degrees. Now, this is in the cellar, so I'm thinking it's probably warmer than 4 degrees, although it is pretty cold right now. But I mean, kept at the cellar temperature. Cellar temperature means not cold enough to freeze the pipes, so that's a good thing. Got a cool little warning sign style Grizzly Paw track. Pour this into my Picaroons glass. Kind of appropriate considering it was here for the Picaroons Brewers Bash. Hopefully this turns out a lot better than the Hogsback I just had that it started to go. So, let's set this up and just be in a momento por favor while I take in pics here. Alright. I have to tweak this little flash composition. Excuse me while I nerd out for a second. I'll make that work. Anyway. Oh, and one more. I'm brewed up. You know what? Screw it. So, it had a lot more head. It started to dissipate. Now it's got down to one finger. Ooh. Hazy, slightly off-white appearance. I mean, well, it's a hazy appearance. It's slightly, you know, it's amber in color, but it's got this kind of like a reddish hue in the center. But I'm not sure if I could say it's red enough to say who that's caused by the color of the raspberries, because it's probably not. Pouring a little bit more into the glass to get more head, and lots and lots and lots of carbonation coming up through there if you can see it. Kind of hard to see it considering you can see my reflection of this reviewing this beer in the computer screen. Oh boy. Alright, well, just go with that. Unless there's a button. Try this. I can't see anything, so. Alright. Looks good. It's like, it smells like raspberry flavoring. I want to say fresh raspberry. I mean, there's a slight tannic, raspberry tannins kind of smell. That tartness, but there's not a lot of tartness. It's borderline. It's kind of somewhere between fresh raspberries and candied raspberries, like artificial. Well, not artificial, but like raspberry flavoring. Smells good. Yeah. There's not really much more to say than over the smell of it, and it smells like raspberries. Let's put her down the hatch. Cheers. Mmm. Ooh, it's different. Maybe not different per se. It's its taste is raspberry predominantly, but it's a very light and effervescent raspberry. Because there's so much carbonation in this thing. It almost seems light and puffy and airy. And that raspberry flavoring, it really, it still comes off across as being a little bit between fresh raspberries and flavored raspberries, but generally well balanced. And despite the raspberry flavoring, the aftertaste leaves you lingering with this tannic kind of quality that when you eat a fresh raspberry, like the rind, the skin afterwards, it's got that kind of, not vinegary, but that tartness that you get from this, and then you get that in the aftertaste as this thing finishes quite dry. And it's a light and puffy mouthfeel with a light sweetness, nothing cloying at all. It's actually quite light, and you know, I'm really enjoying this. I mean, it's nothing incredibly wowing as far as a fruit beer. I mean, yeah, it's a great raspberry beer. There's nothing bursting with flavor. It says I'm a fucking raspberry beer. It's just something that's like, hey man, chill. Have a raspberry beer for the summer. This would be a great summer beer. As I listened to Vince Guaraldi Trio in the background. Yeah, I probably could have waited to review this with the guys, but I mean, it's so hard these days to get them all together. I'm gonna give that 3.75 out of 5. I think that's one really nice, tasty fruit beer. That's really good. If I see that again, and there's nothing else that's a new choice that I haven't had before at the liquor store, I'd say I'd get this again. I can sit back and drink a couple of these. And it comes in a really enormous bottle. Look at that. It's got a big 650. But it's nothing cloying, it's nothing offensive, and it's actually a really tasty raspberry beer that's light and easy to drink. Now, I can see one thing happening, and that would be gas. I can see myself getting a lot of gas coming off of this one because it's so carbonated, and that could be a downside, a detracting factor, but overall it's relatively enjoyable as long as you don't have, somebody you want to impress sitting next to you and you want to hold your burps. Excuse me for the humor, but it's hard to be professional when you're bloated. Anyway, that's Maxwell Starr's review of Grizzly Paw Brewing Company's Beaver Tail Raspberry Ale. Talk to you folks later. Cheers.